The more things change, the more they stay the same. And I think that we're looking at this uh, right here, and this is a good example of it. As you're well aware by now, SNAP, the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program for many Americans who are lower income, many of them elderly, many of them actually disabled, is going to run up. And that, food that people need to live is not going to be available. Now, it is interesting to note that at the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture website, there's a statement put on there, of course, by the Trump administration saying Senate Democrats have now voted 12 times not to fund the food stamp program, also known as SNAP. Bottom line, the well is run dry, and at this time there will be no benefits issued as of November 1st. We are approaching the inflection point for state Democrats. They can continue to hold out for health care for illegal aliens and gender mutilation procedures, or reopen the government so mothers can and babies can, the most vulnerable among us, can receive critical nutrition assistance. Well, obviously, it's not quite that simple. Democrats are, at least to their credit, are trying to fight in order to allow people to continue having health care that the Republican administration is trying to cut. So listening to this say, oh, we're concerned about mothers and babies, coming from this administration, coming from the Republican Party, well, that's just a straight up lie. That's not believable in any way, shape, or form. These people have never cared about mothers and babies. They have never actually cared about human life, period. Unless it's a fetus, which they can use in a process to demonize other people. They don't actually care about human life or human well-being. Because if they cared for babies and mothers, then they would, not cut the health care that babies and mothers actually need in order to survive. But what I do see here that a lot of other people are noting is that it's all going to hit the fan on November 1st, and that the revolution is going to happen. And there's even a video on YouTube, and if I manage to find the thumbnail, I'll post the thumbnail in the video, saying how this is exactly like right before the French Revolution. This is exactly like right before the Bolshevik Revolution. And that idea is absolutely laughable. The idea that America today, even with what's about to happen with SNAP, is the same thing as the Bolshevik Revolution and the French Revolution is utterly insane and can only be spoken of by someone who has absolutely no knowledge in any of these events. There is absolutely no comparison between those times in which the whole system was coming down and this, essentially one nutritional program not being there for people. And the person who made it was not a Marxist. He was a liberal. Really genuinely believes that this is the case. That this is going to be when it all comes down, or when it's going to happen, when it's happening. I really do need to say this. It's not happening. I do need to remind that this is the first world, and that a revolution is not about to happen. In fact, I would say mass unrest is not about to happen. And if I'm wrong and I have to eat my words, so be it. Because there have been many, many times over the past 15 years I've said, no, it's not happening, when everybody said it was happening, it's going to be happening now, it's about to happen, it's about to go off. And then nothing happens. Eventually, sometime I'm going to be wrong. So I think, given my track record, I'm pretty confident that it's not happening. But people genuinely think that it is. Now, obviously, this is bad that SNAP is going to disappear, that it's not going to be available for many of the people who actually need it. And there's going to be protests. Absolutely. Of course, there's going to be protests. There's going to be popular anger towards this. And a lot of it's going to be coming from those really poor Republican dominated areas that think that somehow they're not going to be affected by this and that this is just going to own the libs. They're going to be suffering too. And when they no longer have any food, probably because they're too dumb to know that they're on SNAP as well, there's going to be anger coming out of them directed towards this administration that they voted for. And that's going to be their own fault because they voted for this administration to own the libs. Now, there's going to be some outrage over this, but it's not going to be a revolution. It's not going to be a whole big, huge, threatening menace that's going to be... in fact, I would say it'll be integrated into the No Kings protests. And that is completely dominated by the Democratic Party. And there was absolutely nothing revolutionary or radical about the Democratic Party. And if you need to be told that, insert criticism here. I'm sorry to say it's not happening. This is not some major turning point where everything is going to change. The majority of the population of the United States will sit back and take this. And a good chunk of them aren't even going to care that it's happening. And another chunk of them are going to be happy that it's happening. Because they have it in their minds. And then they say things like, well, if you've got the energy to protest against what this administration is doing, then you have the energy to get a job. Because apparently that's how that works. If you have energy, then jobs just mysteriously manifest out of nowhere. Being that you understand absolutely nothing about economics, let alone anything to do with employment economics. So there are very tough times coming for a segment of the U.S. population. SNAP does not affect everybody. If suddenly everyone now no longer had enough food, then I would tend to think that something more radical is going to happen. But suffice to say, no. Nothing really radical is about to happen because of this. As important as food is, there is not going to be a significant enough portion of the population that's going to be affected by this. Now, that's not to say that this is terrible and that this shouldn't be happening. Of course it shouldn't be happening. Anybody with a modicum of human decency wouldn't be doing this. They wouldn't be taking away people's health care, either. So, it remains to be seen what's going to happen November 1st and what will happen in the following weeks when there's not enough, when people don't have enough food. And there's going to be even food manufacturers, distributors, whatever the case may be, are going to lose money because of this. Because now that SNAP is not being spent on their products. And they might be angry about it. Because they want that money. Because profit motive, blah, blah, blah. So I would say, sit back, but have a level head about what you think is going to happen. Because of all the times people said it's happening or it's about to happen, it hasn't happened. This is still the first world. And the people of the first world are still bought off enough that they're not going to rebel. And I think that remains true even with what we're looking at here. I don't think they should. I think they should rebel. I think there should be mass riots. I think there should be violence in the streets against this. This administration should be torn down just by the fact that they're denying people health care and food. Morally, it's repugnant. And there should absolutely be consequences for this, in and outside the law. But unfortunately, that's not the objective situation. And we are still going to have to sit back and see what the political implications are for this. And that the Republican Party has done, a significant job of shifting the blame of all of this onto the Democratic Party. No, it's your fault. It's your fault. And there is a significant portion of the population that's going to believe it. They'll believe that no matter what, because the Democrats are apparently the ultimate evil. There is no such thing as nuance. There's no such thing as rationally looking at something and trying to determine how it functions or what's going on, etc., and are completely incapable of taking any kind of criticism to the Republican Party or Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form. So the next few weeks are going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how the public reaction to this actually plays out. For both those who support the Republican Party, and for those who support the Democratic Party.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.